Part 1 of The Craziest Stories You Didn't Know, the BOYCE Sneed Feud. Okay, so everyone knows about the Hatfields and McCoys, or if you're into American history, you probably do. It's essentially the most notable American family feud. But I want to tell you about a different and often overlooked and insane family feud that occurred in Texas around 1911-1912. The interesting thing about this family feud was that it all spawned from a love triangle gone wrong. I'm talking about the BOYCE Sneed feud. The BOYCE Sneed feud involved two wealthy Texas ranchers and resulted in multiple murders, two of them public. It all started in 1911 when Lena Snyder Sneed, the wife of Bill Sneed, starts to have an affair with Albert Boyce Jr., another wealthy rancher in the area. Even though Bill and Lena have two children together, Lena is left home a lot of the time as Bill is constantly traveling for work. So one night, the Boyce family throws a party, and Al Boyce Jr. and Lena have a little flirt at the party. Bill's off on work, so he's not there, and Al Jr. and Lena form a connection. Keep in mind, the Sneed and Boyce families are pretty close. They're local family acquaintances and friends and neighbors in a burgeoning town and have very similar social status, as in they both have a lot of money. Let's just say they run in the same circles. And fun fact, Al's father, Al Boyce Sr., was a former manager of the famous XIT Ranch and was commonly known around town and in Texas as the Colonel. So he had some swag. Anyway, after the party, Al Jr. starts to stop by Lena's place now and then to say hi and maybe help her out with things when Bill's out of town. And lo and behold, Al Boyce Jr. and Lena start an affair. A passionate affair. I mean, they're sneaking off together during the day to a remote field and lying under a tree and picnicking and cuddling and stuff. I'm talking these two people have discovered love, hands down. And after reading about it, in my opinion, it's kind of one of those loves or affairs that you just can't get mad at. As an objective outsider, I suppose, over 100 years later. Because you get the sense that, in reality, Lena married Bill somewhat out of duty and preservation of assets, property, and the Snyder and Sneed family name. But that's something that hasn't ever been fully revealed, but one can surmise. Regardless, when Bill Sneed gets wind of how much time Lena is spending with Al Boyce Jr., he gets pretty pissed, understandably, even though he was never home. But his thought is he's out there just trying to provide for his family, and his wife is disgracing him and his family name by running around on him. So Bill heads straight back to town, and upon his return, sends Lena off to a sanitarium to get her head right, somewhat dubbing her a little insane. And from there on out, the story just gets crazier and crazier. What exactly is a sanitarium, you may ask? Well, we'll get to that in part 2. You can learn more about the BOYCE Sneed feud by looking at Wikipedia. There's actually a handful of books out there about it, but get this. There are 2 new books that just released that have so much more information and detail about what actually went down. I'm talking about Clara Sneed's historical fiction Before We Turn to Dust and her nonfiction account Because This Is Texas. Fun fact, the author of these books, Clara Sneed, is the grandniece of Bill Sneed. So she had access to all sorts of archives that others didn't, like actual court transcripts, love letters, you name it. Click on the link to explore both of Clara Sneed's newly released and shocking accounts of the BOYCE Sneed feud, and stay tuned for part 2 of The Craziest Stories You Didn't Know,